Welcome to Rainy Dewey's Art Spot. Today's video is a little discussion about painting smaller miniature paintings and why we might want to do it. I ended up purchasing some of these little tiny watercolor pads. It's paper by Legion. I usually use Arches, so I really was welcoming the opportunity to try a different watercolor paper, and I find this paper quite nice actually. So I decided to do a few small paintings on it. It is a 2.5 by 3 3/4 paper. I didn't tape it down, but I wetted the whole paper. I don't believe that I wetted on the back because I can see the paper curling a little in the corner, but you can paint it on both sides and then paint it as it dries. But in this case, I actually just wet one side without taping it. I did do a light sketch of my subject, which is my cat Bob. He loves to lay on the back of the couch and look out the window. For a while there, I had a table in the middle between two chairs in that front window, and he was constantly on the table. So I'm like, okay, let's put the couch there. We made a compromise so he can go and look out the window anytime he wants, and I don't have to feel like I have to get him off the table. So I got done doing battle with my cat Bob, and he enjoys looking out the window. Sorry about my camera. It was doing some sort of an autofocus thing, which I didn't want it to do. And I do believe I fixed it toward the end of the video. So while the paper's wet, I'm putting in some washes, and I will paint this little piece as the paper begins to dry. You can see right now it is wet paint, wet brush on fairly dry paper. You can tell because the paint is not exploding on the paper in a wet surface. And so I lifted off some of the highlights on Bob's back, and then here I'm just adding in darks, and so that instead of just being a dark shape, it's got some value to indicate his back and his leg. But you can see I'm just painting and lifting and painting and lifting. That's the thing about watercolor. It's not a one-shot deal. It has a little more flexibility than you think it does. And so you can lay in your dark colors, and then you can lift off some of it. You can see I lifted off a fair amount of the black to give a little highlight on Bob's back there. And here the paper is fairly dry, and I'm laying in the trim for the window. On the couch surface, that was wet, and so I made my color mix. Now this is where you can practice your color mixing. I mean, honestly, when I do a color study in preparation for a painting, a lot of times it will be in my sketchbook, and it will be this size. It'll be this 2 by 3, very small. So you can work out the details of the design and also work out the color mixing. How are you going to get that interesting green on the couch? It's not from the tube, so it needs to be mixed with, when you want to gray down a green, then you're going to go across the color wheel and you're going to mix its color complement, which is red. So I don't remember exactly what I mixed to get that color, but it was definitely a red-green combination. So here it was winter when he was on the couch, and the winter landscape out front was just beautiful. The snow was laying on the branches of the tree, and it was very muted and just lovely. So here I'm just putting in shapes that say tree, and while I put in the base, it's still a little bit wet, and I can go back in and you can see it kind of pops a little and blends on its own, giving you that muted winter quiet feeling. And then as it begins to dry, I can pop in some darker colors. And so I do believe I'm going to do this little painting in an oil. And so it's a good way to get your a feel for the piece and what you need to do differently and what you like. So in this case, I didn't do all of the patterns of the fabric on the back of the couch, but once I am in the oil painting process, I definitely will do that. So here I am trying to just do some values and creases in the fabric for the couch, softening and lifting. A little more softening and lifting on the trees and in the little landscape outside the window. I'm using a flat brush, using the chiseled edge to try to get it straight. And then darkening the couch fabric a little bit, trying to leave a highlight on the top of the cushions because there's light coming from the window. I typically do use, almost always, a photo reference. If I'm not using a photo reference, I'll use still life in front of me. I rarely paint on location. And so I'm trying to make him pop a little bit, but I did not put the pattern of the fabric on the couch. I will do it when I do the oil painting. So there's the final little painting. And there's Bob and my dog Tucker keeping watch out the window. And there's Bob. He always tries to help me paint. He's a card. He should be dealt with. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, be creative.